There are two sort of arguments about Mary's Assumption. Some say she died, some say she didn't die. The Orthodox, the Eastern Church, has the tradition that she died, she fell asleep, and that then she was assumed body and soul into heaven. The Western Church tends to argue that she didn't die. And so, as I said, that's a theological discussion which hasn't necessarily been decided canonically, dogmatically. And this is why when Pius XII issued his definition for the dogma of the Assumption, he phrased the dogma in such a way he left open both possibilities, that she died and that she didn't die. Because the doctrine says when the course of her earthly life had ceased, she was assumed body and soul into heaven. And most people get the body and soul into heaven, but they don't really understand or remember when the course of her earthly life had ceased. But he didn't say she died, and she didn't say she didn't. And so, if you read that encyclical, it's sort of very clear that the reason why Mary is assumed into heaven is because she was immaculately conceived. And so, because she was immaculately conceived and didn't suffer pain of original sin, therefore, since St. Paul says a death entered the world through sin. So if Mary didn't have sin, then when she entered the world, she wasn't subject to death. So the question is, did she or didn't she? And so, not to upset the Eastern Church, he simply said when the course of her earthly life had ceased, which doesn't say she died and doesn't say she didn't.